Morning, welcome to a Sunday edition of Morning Scone presented by Brock, Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. I do business with someone you know, Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. So I did, in fact, watch a lot of bad teams play football yesterday. Week 0 in the books. It was a fun appetizer to what'll be a full weekend of college football next weekend, starting on Thursday. I mean, we'll have football Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So get ready. It is here. We got a full slate coming up. I'll get into some of my takeaways from week 0, including Florida State and Vandy here in just a quick second. LSU did have practice on Saturday morning in Tiger Stadium. There was a small window, about 30 minutes, that was open to the media. I don't know, still no word from Brian Kelly on starting quarterback. Tomorrow, because we will be starting game week, tomorrow is when the Brian Kelly Monday press conferences will start. So the weekly press conference at noon on Monday, obviously tomorrow. So my guess is, and I thought we would know by now already, but we don't, he will most certainly be asked about a starting quarterback, and if he's going to name one, it certainly would make sense to do it now at his Monday press conference, because his next media availability with the media isn't until Thursday. So Brian Kelly will meet with us on Monday. We'll get player interviews on Tuesday. Hang on, I'll tell you on the schedule real quick. They sent it to us last night. All right, so Brian Kelly on Monday, players on Tuesday, Brian Kelly on the SEC teleconference Wednesday. Then Thursday is his interview with the media after practice around 6 o'clock. Then he goes to his radio show at 7. So anyway, so I would assume if he's gonna do it, which make a lot of sense that he just do it tomorrow. So we know that Texas A&M named their starter. It is Haynes King. So Max Johnson did not win that job. We'll see if they both play. They have a couple of weeks there in College Station. They open up against Sam Houston and then have another layup before week 3 against Miami. So they got a couple of weeks to figure it out. LSU's got to get rolling, though. You know, week 1, Florida State, 1 week from today. We're in the dome. All right, let's say some good mornings here. I'll get you my week 0 takeaways. Ryan Amanda Guidry, Dalton Pichon, the East is shaking in their pads, seeing Vanderbilt rise to number 1 in the division. Vandy looked good. Kelly Gross, good morning. Blake Morgan, did you watch any of the FSU game? Watched the entire game. Brian Penton, good morning. Blake Morgan, Elliot Doge, Vandy is back. Were they ever, to be back, you had to have at one point been, to then leave and come back. I don't know that they've ever been. Jaron Thomas, good morning. Clifford Moore, what's going on? Poor Scott Frost can't win an opening game. Wow. Lenny Moss, good morning from Boca. Okay. Guys down there in Boca honk. Ryan Amanda Guidry, Craig Duke. New profile pick, going to be the new graphic pick on AFR, so you can finally retire the 5 to 6 year old pick. I think so, yes. I think the pick, that 5 to 6 year old pick, is older than that. I think that's maybe whenever we started AFR. It's an old pick, man. Me with hair and all that sort of stuff. We finally took new headshots, so I put it on there. So a couple of impressions. Damon Gilmore, Leon Williams, what's going on? Trivia Carter, good morning. Jeremiah Hardell, Penning can have my foot there. I don't know if y'all saw Trevor Penning, tore a ligament in his toe. Looks like he's going to be out for a long time, maybe the whole season. Thank God they ran him out there in a preseason game. Thank God. Is Roger Dodger is Vanderbilt a playoff team, a dark horse playoff team? Um, okay, couple of takeaways. Couple of takeaways. I guess I'll go chronologically. I did watch the game in Ireland. I had Nebraska laying the 12 and a half. Stupid. I felt really good until the onside kick. I'm not sure if y'all saw it, but if you didn't watch any of the game, Nebraska had a 2-score lead in the third quarter. They scored, got a turnover, scored. And so Nebraska looked like they were about to pull away. And then with a 2-score lead, attempted an onside kick, gave Northwestern the short field. Northwestern scored, and then Northwestern just carried that momentum the rest of the way. Trey Palmer I even tweeted this on the broadcast. They said Trey Palmer is Nebraska's best, most dynamic player, and their offensive coordinator, Nebraska's offensive coordinator, is Mark Whipple. Last year, Mark Whipple was the OC at Pitt. Of course, had Kenny Pickett and Jordan Addison, who won the Biletnikoff. And Mark Whipple compared Trey Palmer to Jordan Addison, who won the Biletnikoff. And I bring that up just to point out, like, Trey Palmer was everywhere yesterday. He had 8 catches for 68 yards and 2 carries as well. And he returned kicks. He is their best player, and he couldn't get on the field at LSU. I mean, crazy. And by the way, that's not a knock on Trey Palmer. That's a hat tip to LSU's depth, which is crazy. So, Nebraska went up 28 to 17. They went up 28-17 and never scored again. They onside kicked. Northwestern scored. Nebraska never scored again. Northwestern punched in the go-ahead touchdown to win it. Unbelievable. I did watch Florida State, so hard to tell a lot because Duquesne, you're just talking about completely different level football. Florida State's off. They won 47-7, and the big takeaway was they just played bully ball. Florida State just ran the ball right over Duquesne. They ran 54 times for 406 yards, 6 rushing touchdowns, and averaged 7.5 yards a carry. They have 3 really good running backs, Ward, Toafili, and Benson. All 3 went over 100 yards rushing in the game. That's the first time that's ever happened at Florida State. So, the big question, I mean, now we already knew coming in, was, Florida State had, had some questions on their offensive line. They brought in a couple of transfers. They're probably going to get Maurice Smith back healthy this week. It sounds like they just held him out for this game to have him ready for LSU. That's their starting center. But that's the big thing is, can LSU's defensive front stop the Florida State run? I mean, because look, Alex Atkins is the new Florida State offensive coordinator. He was their offensive line coach, still is. But if you remember, when LSU hired Brad Davis, Alex Atkins was one of the guys they interviewed for the job as well. So I think Florida State gave him a raise and he stayed. But so you got an offensive line coach that's your coordinator. You better believe he's going to run the football. Jordan Travis only threw it 15 times. He was 11 of 15 for 207 yards. He had one deep ball for, I think it was the 51-yarder to Wilson. It was the 51-yarder to Johnny Wilson, who was supposed to be their best receiver, who got hurt on that play. He caught the 51-yarder, came off the field, went right into the medical tent, and didn't return. So we'll have to check on his status as well for the LSU game. The Florida State defense just wasn't really tested. Just bigger, faster, stronger, just better. So anyway, So I think you just you have a very clear what to watch with LSU Florida State. It's Florida State's got a big offensive line and three running backs that they will play all three. I mean, Trey Benson is the Oregon transfer who was the third one into the game. So Treshaun Ward was the starter. Then they brought him Toafili and then Benson. All three were awesome. So and then I did watch Vandy for the nightcap, and Vandy, the first drive of the game, Hawaii gets the football, boom, 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 right down the field, 7-0 Hawaii. You're like, oh, okay, Vandy. But man, Vandy got opportunistic. There were a couple of defensive scores Vandy got a couple of times. Timmy Chang went for it on fourth down and didn't convert one time, deep in Vandy territory. Vandy got a break that went their way. It was 3rd and 6. Hawaii got from like the 10-yard line from the Hawaii 10. Hawaii gets the stop. They have a holding penalty against Vandy. Timmy Chang declines the holding penalty to make it 4th and 6. Vandy decides to go for it. And there's a tipped pass, and the Vandy kid catches it at the 1 and ends up scoring. And then on the next Hawaii drive, it's a turnover and defensive score. Anyway, crazy. But Vandy rolled last night, man. They certainly looked competent. And I know there's a lot of people that took Vandy on the season win total over 2.5. They're going to beat Elon next week, so they'll be 2-0. And they're going to find a way to win another game in there somewhere. I mean, I think they'll beat Northern Illinois. They get to play Wake Forest. We'll see with, we'll see what happens with, the SEC schedule. But, I mean, shoot. Vandy won 63-10 last night. I don't know the last time Vandy scored 63 on anybody. All right, smash that like button. 164 watching on YouTube. We appreciate that. Facebook 81 watching there. Thanks so much. Appreciate y'all. All right, let's get to all of your questions here. I'm gonna go to church at 11:30, so we'll do about maybe 30-45 minutes here. I'll just do your questions, so y'all fire away. I'll do my best to get through all of them. Brad David, what's the new lineup at Guarantee? Heard Hanny's getting a show. Yeah, so early line with Mario and Musso goes away. Hanny will be on from noon to 1, and Hunt and Hill slide back 1 to 3. So Hanny, noon to 1, Hunt and Hill 1 to 3. AFR stays at its time. Kevin Thomas, good morning. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate that. Lane O'Glee, never been so hyped for a Nebraska football game before yesterday. Good morning. Wendell Norman, Scott Loom, 12. Do you think tomorrow will be the best practice they had all year? The best practice they had all year. That is an ode to what Ed Ogeron would say in every press conference. What a tremendous week of practice. Best practice of the year. Cargo, do you think Texas A&M used Max Johnson to get his brother? I don't. I think Max and Jake just want to play together. And I think eventually Max will want to play in that Texas A&M. Spurge, good morning. Ready to escape the dark zone of sports and get college football started. Brad, did Kelly shut down phone calls on the coach's radio show, or did LSU? I hated the callers. No, it was Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly's the one who did it. He said he wanted to get the fluff out of the show. And look, I mean, you can tell he's a guy who very much controls things, right? And when you have callers, even when you screen them, sometimes callers get past the screener. Yeah, like the one who talked about Ed and you said, you remember what happened last year when the guy made the off-color remark about Ed Ogeron hooking up with his sister. Which led to the infamous fishing hole comment. Janet A, good morning. Strong side. Kevin Rosselot, where you at? Taz, hope the Saints do not trade Hardy. We need him. Olave can't be the only deep threat. Marquez Callaway can be a deep threat as well. And I don't know, man, look, if they trade Hardy, it's because they have great confidence in Kirk Merritt as a returner. So, trading Hardy would likely help you recoup some draft capital, but I don't know that they're going to do that. I think I'm more interested to see, okay, what happens when the final 53, which is really the first 53, cuts happen, and then you look around the rest of the league and say, okay, who's available, and then you maybe make some moves that way. Brandon, wonder how that stable of running backs they have at Florida State look against our front seven. That's the game. I mean, that's the game on Sunday. Florida State manhandled Duquesne up front. Their 3 running backs got off. I don't think they're going to be able to push around Mason Smith quite the way they did the kid from Duquesne. So that's your challenge. Nola P. Florida State's running backs look good. They have 3 guys that can start. Yeah, that's the big takeaway. Your Fave 5 had morning scone. Ended my night watching college ball and a glass of whiskey. Life is good again. Jarquise Dennis, how do you feel about the Florida State game next weekend after watching the game last night? I don't know necessarily that I am. Well, I'll put it to you this way. I think LSU can make Florida State one-dimensional. I don't really fear their passing game. They hit some deep shots. You know what it reminded me a lot of? It reminded me a lot of LSU under Les Miles, where it was ground and pound, boom, take your shot deep. After you suck them in to defend the run. You can do that against Duquesne. I'm not so sure you're going to be able to do that against LSU. Taz, who will be the biggest surprise cut with the Saints? Biggest surprise. It's got to be one of the linebackers. Probably Bond. I don't know if it's a surprise at this point, but just because he was a 3rd-round pick, I don't think he made the team. Hunter Fournette had Northwestern plus 13. Good for you, man. A lot of people look. That was pretty split. Some people leaned into Pat Fitzgerald, good coach, all that sort of stuff. Rebound season. Thinks about Pete might have to move. Penning might have to move Pete to left tackle if Hurst is out. Well, one of the maybe encouraging things Friday night after the Saints game was Dennis Allen did sound like the Alex Hurst injury is minor and that he should be back, no problem. He did not seem worried about Hurst at all. Damon Gilmore, Caleb, Northwestern versus Nebraska was fun. I was pulling from Nebraska to Palmer and Mickey Joseph. DeColdis Crawford was out there as well. Kid from 318, one-time LSU commit. DeColdis Crawford got him a kick return. Michael B, good morning. Scott Craig, what's up? Alex, FSU did not look good, but with that said, they won by 40 in really bad weather. I don't know how you could say, Alex, I don't know how you could say Florida State didn't look that good. They ran the ball for over 400 yards. Quarterback was efficient passing, and they held Duquesne to 1 touchdown. Duquesne did miss a field goal in the game as well. I mean, they overwhelmed a lesser team. I don't know how you could say they didn't look that good. Yes, they did, but they were playing an inferior opponent. So you look at what can you take away from that game against a much lesser team. They put up 638 yards of offense. They held Duquesne to 164. They did look good. They were just playing an overmatched team. Vernell Thomas, good morning. What's going on? What's going to happen with the left tackle search? I think you've got Hurst will be your guy. Andres P can kick out there and play it in a pinch if you need it, unless if you find a backup left tackle. Kirk Taylor, Richie Burt. Can you believe Florida A&M was still in the game in the 3rd quarter with 20 players out? Yeah, I can believe that. First game, bro. I think the same thing happened with, I get it's a different level of competition. LSU against North Carolina in 2010. If you remember that, and that came down to the last play. And North Carolina had 2/3 of their team out because of that academic thing. Kirk Taylor, we won yesterday. There you go. Jaron Thomas, Casey Thompson, not used to Palmer's speed. He underthrew him a couple of times. Richie Burt, Mr. the Stag Barbecue last night. Jeff McKithen, Mark Borch. Good morning, Matt. My son reached out. Can you please respond? How did he reach out to me, Mark? I mean, I'm happy to. Just let me know where he reached out to me. I mean, I got a lot of, emails, texts, people tweet me, Facebook Messenger, Instagram DM. Like, there's a lot of ways people reach out. Just let me know how he reached out to me. Tony Cortello, Nebraska D-line was thrown around. Going to be a long season for Nebraska. Yeah, that's true. But Northwestern's offensive line is very veteran, and one of the guys on the Northwestern offensive line is like preseason All-American, and he's like in mock drafts as a first-round pick. So I think that Northwestern offensive line is actually kind of one of their strengths. Sean Donlin, good morning. Are you gonna burn Dennis down for playing the starters, getting Penning hurt? Sean, I've thought about it, and I am kind of triggered, but I'll put it to you this way. If James Hurst is healthy, he's your starting left tackle and was going to be anyway. So I understand playing Penning if Hurst is healthy because you're playing your backup, essentially. And someone had to go play out there. So I hate it. It's exactly the thing I feared in playing, everybody in that final preseason game. Which just sucks. I mean, because now, last year, your first round pick, with Peyton Turner, you basically didn't have him for the whole season. We know the issues you've had with Marcus Davenport staying healthy throughout his career. And now Trevor Penning's going to miss basically his entire rookie season. I'm very, very annoyed, but I'm less annoyed because Hurst was going to be your starter, and it looks like he's going to be good to go. If Hurst was injured and we knew he was going to be out for a while and they ran Penning out there and he got hurt, I'd be pissed. Chewy Gutierrez, what's going on? Oh, yeah, 0 for Vandy, was knocking head. So that guy's name is Anthony Orgy. He was at one of the guys they brought to SEC Media Days, and his last name is very unfortunate. Stephen Dufour, since Penning is having surgery, is he done for the year? It's indefinite, but he might miss the whole season. Yeah. Jerry DeLucky, good morning from New York City. All right, Jerry, good morning from the Big Apple. Patrick Landry, what's up? Kelly Presley, good morning. Will the game be on TV next Sunday? Yes, it's on ABC. Craig Duga, maybe it's just me, but week 0 in NFL preseason has been pretty mundane and pedestrian foosball. Well, first of all, the preseason is preseason. You have to be a preseason junkie to care about preseason football, and I am. And week 0 wasn't a great schedule, but it was football. We got to watch real football. It was fun. Will Myers, Mortimer at Duquesne, held on to cash that 41.5. I had him at 42. I had Duquesne plus 42, so I cashed that ticket. When they missed the field goal, I was like, oh no, I hope that doesn't bite me. Thad Landry, Matt, have a blessed Sunday. Looking forward to listening all week. Thank you, Thad. Have a great day. Mike Collins, if the field goal kicking game turns out to be 50%, what win-loss record do you think we may be facing this year? I'm assuming you're not going to be great there, Mike, which is why I have them 8-4. You're going to play a bunch of toss-ups. Like, you are going to be a decided underdog against Bama, and you'll probably be a 6-7 point favorite at home against Mississippi State. Every other game is going to be a virtual toss-up, within a field goal spread. And some of those are going to go your way and some aren't, which is why I've kind of landed at 8-4. Trey Goodwin, good morning, Matt. Brian Driscoll, the ND guy, clarified Brian Kelly not fitting in isn't due to geography. It's the way he treats boosters, players, etc. For my own benefit, please help me understand so I can mold my viewpoint going forward of the college football coach haters. So Trey, so what he's referring to is the guy who was on Crane and Company. I don't know how or when he clarified, Trey. What I can tell you is there was the clip that they released on Crane and Company. He said Brian Kelly won't recruit the way he needs to, and it's not a good fit because the most southern place Brian Kelly coached was Cincinnati. That's what he said. Those are his words. Like, that guy said the most southern place he coached is Cincinnati. So he said Notre Dame is the second most southern place he's coached. So you can backtrack and clarify all you want. And if you want to talk about the way you treat boosters, players, coaches, etc., I'm indifferent to that if you win, because there's different ways to go about doing that. The thing the Notre Dame guy and most Notre Dame people don't understand is, in particular, the recruiting piece, where he said Brian Kelly won't. The guy was so contradictory. In one breath, he says Brian Kelly won't recruit the way he needs to win a national championship at LSU. And in the other breath, he says talent wasn't the problem at Notre Dame. It was lack of big game production. So which is it? So you're telling me that he recruited well enough at Notre Dame with all of the recruiting disadvantages, but you're going to give him a treasure trove of talent in Louisiana, in your state, a talent-rich state, but he's not going to recruit well enough here? It's like, the guy's nonsensical. I don't think he understands. And this is the point I'll make. Again, the reason Brian Kelly is here and the reason 3 straight coaches have won national championships at LSU is because you have a massive advantage in your state. Notre Dame does not have that. In the state of Indiana this year, let's look at Indiana. In the top-ranked player in the state of Indiana is Drake Bowen. He's a 4-star. He's ranked number 94 nationally. Okay. The second best player is Joshua Mickens, ranked number 132 nationally. He's an LSU commit. The third best player is ranked number 276 nationally. You have one player in the state of Indiana in the top 100. One. And he's number 94. You have 2 players in the top 150 and only 3 players in the top 300 nationally. That's the problem with Notre Dame. Like, you don't have the recruiting advantage. So again, 3 players in Indiana, 3 players in the top 300. In Louisiana for this year, Arch Manning, number 1, Derek Williams, 34, Shelton Sampson, 42, Zalance Hurd, 54, Eli Holstein, 67, Tack Curtis, 91, Caleb Jackson, 139, Jaden Osbury, 141, Jordan Matthews, 144, Kylan Jackson, 165, Tyree Adams, 179, Ricky Collins, 203, Omarion Miller, 215, Curly Reed, 220, Kai Preon, 263, Trey Holly, 267. I told you Indiana has 3 players in the top 300. Louisiana has 16. I mean, that's the difference. That's what they don't get. Like, you don't have, like, the most self-aware thing Brian Kelly did was he hired guys from the state of Louisiana. He hired Cortez Hankton, who's from New Orleans. He hired Frank Wilson, who's New Orleans royalty. He hired Joe Sloan, who was at Tech, who not only recruited North Louisiana because of Tech, but his territory was Baton Rouge and New Orleans. Like, this ain't hard, y'all. He retained Brad Davis, who's from Baton Rouge. It ain't hard. Like, he assembled a staff of dudes that know how to recruit this state, and they're going to keep the best players in the state here. Like, it ain't hard to figure out what he's doing. I mean, I don't know how, like, I'm so annoyed that we're still having a conversation about this fella who covers Notre Dame who thinks he has a clue. I mean, y'all, it has been 34 years since Notre Dame won a championship. 34. What do any of them know about what it takes to win a national championship? No person on the Notre Dame beat has seen that team win a national championship or even sniff it. What do they know about winning a championship in college football in 2022? Zero. Absolute zero. Set me off again, dude. Cargo, was Lance Hurd pick LSU? Sounds like it. Damon Gilmore, they made 0 second half offensive changes. That defense is bad. Don't know what game you're talking about. Michael Castello, oh, maybe Nebraska. Jay Suisse, say what you want about Nebraska. They're the second best team in the country that they played in. Got it. Yes, Ireland got it. D, good morning. Jason Brumfield, we'll have to tackle well against Florida State. A lot of broken tackles. That's true, Jason. That was another observation. Those running backs can make you miss. They're talented runners, no doubt. They got 3 really talented runners on a big offensive line. LSU better wrap up. You better not go there throwing shoulders. You better wrap up. Mark Allen, why open in Ireland? I get why the NFL will do this, but college. Second time they've done that. Notre Dame and Navy played in Ireland a few years ago as well. Why? I probably got a hefty paycheck, cool opportunity for your players to go play in another country, novelty game, expand your university's brand. You play on a standalone window. There's pros and cons to it. Michael B, FSU ran a lot of counters, and didn't LSU in the spring have trouble with counters? Well, I'll tell you what, Florida had trouble with counters against LSU at Ty Davis Price. Devin Kelly, I knew Nebraska wasn't going to win that game. Scott Frost needs to go. 21 games lost by 1 score. That's the most in college football. I just don't really care about Nebraska. Jason Brumfield, Mason Smith, and Jay Roy have to play well. All of them. Ali Gay, B.J. Ojolari, Mike Jones. They're gonna have to stack the box and tackle well. That really is going to be the key to the game. Raymond, Hunter Fournette, even with FSU being bigger, faster, stronger, they had linemen getting blown back. I'll put it this way, Hunter. On a given play, you could probably isolate something and see that. For the majority of the game, no, they didn't, dog. Their running backs were running through gaping holes and making dudes miss in the open field. They were not really challenged. They ran for 400 yards, bro. Don't tell me their offensive line got blown back when they threw for 4 or they ran for 400 yards. Hughes, big fan of Jake Crane. Hughes, big fan of Jake Crane, but you got him so good on his criticism of Brennan. I know I did. I'm going on with them tomorrow as well, by the way. They want me on to talk about the Brian Driscoll guy, the Notre Dame stuff. So 7:30 a.m. So I told you this, by the way. So tomorrow from 2:37 watching. I love that. Thank y'all so much, YouTube. Smash that like button. If you're new, please also subscribe up to the channel. So tomorrow I'm on Crane and Company at 7:30 a.m. So what I'll do tomorrow for Morning Scone, I'll do Morning Scone here on my Surface. I'll do Crane and Company here on my Surface. And I'll stream the interview on my YouTube channel. So I'll set up the phone on YouTube right there so you all can watch me on Crane and Company. So anyway, so just be mindful tomorrow will be YouTube only for Morning Scone tomorrow. Let's see. Micah Pittman, the transfer from Oregon, looked good at receiver as well. Murdered Giraffe, I for one accept our Vandy overlords. Jason Brumfield, let's see. Hunter, if Vandy coach would have kicked a field goal in the first half instead of going for it on 4th down, I would have won $200. The dangers of betting, bro. Tim Gotro, Joey Metke, Migo Tez. Do you think Florida State is going to try to run that much versus us? Yes, I do. I think that's going to be their offense. I think they are going to lean into their strength, which they feel like are their 3 running backs. All the conversations I've had this offseason with Florida State guys, they've really struggled to identify. Threats in the passing game. I think you saw that yesterday. Watching that game, Jordan Travis, I think, was 10 of 15. He was 11 of 15. Excuse me. But boy, they didn't really. There was only a couple of times they tried to stretch the field. They went up over the top whenever the defense had sucked in. He hit a couple of deep balls, but it wasn't really impressive watching them throw the ball. Jordan had at FSU LSU score predict. I think you're probably looking at a 27-24 type game. I like LSU to win it close. I'll stick to that. Brandon, what you say there, J-Boy? Peter Fenner, good morning. Scott Craig. Scott Frost is 5-21 in one-score games. I know everybody keeps throwing that number out there. It's bad. I mean, you've got to be able to win close games. CFU 63. What's good? 38-17 LSU. Shoot, I'd love to see it. I'm not sure I believe it, but you don't know who your starting quarterback is right now. Bailey C. taking my Bama fan girlfriend to the game in November. Ooh, that's gonna be tough, dude. Scott, random question: was Coach O? No, I'm not even going to read your question, but no, the answer is no. I'm just not going to, things like that are real issues that people have or have had in life. And he's acknowledged earlier in his life he had certain issues, but not while he was at LSU, no. Murder Giraffe, Michael Costello. Did Petty end up tearing his knee? I don't know who you're talking about, Petty. I don't know who Petty is, sorry. If you're talking about Penning, the Saints rookie, no, he tore a ligament in his foot. Brett, LSU center looked good snapping the ball in the shotgun, that footage from yesterday's practice. Yeah, look, man. Brian Kelly seems to think that they've kind of gotten that down. That's great to see. It's just a different beast when you're doing it in a game for the first time. So there's still an unknown until he does it in the game. DA, Matt, to see the Saints finding a spot on the roster for Merritt, I think so. I mean, as much as they played him at receiver, running back, in the kicking game, I mean, they feel like he's good enough to make the team and they want a spot for him. They're going to find a spot for him. Reed Rule, good morning, Matt. Random flashback. Watching LSU West Virginia 2011. Did the story ever come out why Hurst quit the team? He was a mauler. Hurst quit in 2012, didn't he? I don't know that the story ever came out. Yeah, I don't know that I want to say that publicly. Yeah, I don't want to say that publicly. Spurge, need the obligatory Hutco jingle. You know what? Okay, we're into it. What time is it? 10:30. Got about 20 more minutes before I got to go get dressed, get ready for church. Let's roll with the Hutco jingle.
Hutco Roofing, Hutco Roofing. When you need a roof, call someone you know. Scone, Ontario.
All you need is Hutco.
Hutco Roofing, Hutco Roofing. Call Hutco Roofing.
364
1007. Roofing, Hutco Roofing,
Hutco Roofing, HutcoRoofing.com. Do business with someone you know. Hutco Roofing, HutcoRoofing.com. I'll post the website in the comments in case if anyone needs a roof repair or a roof replacement. We will always give you a free, no obligation roofing inspection. If you have a roof issue, give us a shout. Hutco Roofing, HutcoRoofing.com. All right, Trey Goodwin, Tomachita Thomas, AJ Allen got some playing time for Nebraska. Number 9, Neville Hyde, very cool. Richie Burt, Duquesne had so many missed tackles on the running backs. Those aren't missed versus LSU. Richie Burt, you got to tip your cap to the running backs, man. You can't just assume those aren't missed tackles. Like, LSU's got to wrap up. Gerald Mathern, what's good? Let's see. We're going to have to make a trade for a veteran tackle. We can't have Jameis scrambling around. Look, you got Alex Hurst, who's going to be your starter. If Hurst stays healthy, you're okay. Rhett Rhodes, Nebraska would have won if the coldest, but he did. He had a I think a kickoff return or a punt return.
Do you think I should wake him up?
Oh, he's still sleeping? No, let him sleep. I can't.
He got up early yesterday. He woke up like 8.
Yeah. And he did wake up at like 6:30 this morning. I laid him back down.
Oh, this morning?
So I don't know how late he was up, like how long he stayed up, but he was up like 6:30. Chance Babb in Nebraska is still undefeated in North America, like 2007 LSU in regulation. Yeah. Jaron Thomas, not to state the obvious, after watching Florida State, we were bigger, faster, more talented. My biggest takeaway from that game was Florida State's offensive line is big. They're big. And they have 3 really good running backs. So we've all said that the strength of LSU's Defense is the defensive line, maybe the entire strength of the team. Go prove it. Stephen Fry, my old lady passed me some eyes when she heard your voice come on the phone because we're sitting at the hospital for a pregnancy false alarm. How selfish is she, right? LOL. That's so good. That, you know what, Stefan? That's why every time I go anywhere in public and I meet people, like it's a husband and his wife or a guy and his girlfriend or whatever. Dude and his kids. They're always like, "Oh, this is the guy I always listen to all the time." And then those eyes get turned to me. They're like, "Oh, you're the one." And it's like it's my fault.
What?
There's a guy, Stephen Fry. They're at the hospital. His wife had a pregnancy false alarm. He just pulled up more and Scone and said, my wife just threw some eyes at me for when she heard your voice. I'm like, it ain't my fault. It ain't my fault. I'm just here doing my job. You know what I mean? Trying to entertain the people. That's all I'm doing. Quentin Breakbill, TK Brown, Renee Marks, what's up? Gerald Mathern, 34 years ago, Notre Dame won. College football is a whole different game. I like to say Notre Dame is the Cowboys of the NCAA. It's fair. I mean, it's on par. Different games, obviously, but yeah. Gerald Mathern said, "Good morning, E-Rock." Kirk Taylor said, "Good morning, E-Rock." Erica, they're saying good morning to you. She said, "Good morning." She's in the other room getting breakfast. John Ducey, Matt, it's finally football season. Taz, I believe Juwan Johnson will shine with Jameis. That's one guy you really have to wonder if he's going to make the team. I know he got bigger and they like him a lot, but didn't do a ton in the preseason. Jordan Haddad, Penning was ready to break the personal foul record. What a shame. Michael Castello, Keaton Berry, and let's go fresh off the 6 Mile Sunday run. 45-17 LSU. Y'all are crazy, bro. I'll tell y'all, man. Well, that's Keaton, of course. Keaton has LSU winning the national championship. Hunter Fournette, I just discovered betting on drive results yesterday. Holy hell, that makes Snorefest games amazing. Taz, do you know if Michael Thomas will be ready for week 1? Taz, I'd be stunned if he didn't play against the Falcons. Stunned. Brandon, can't wait for Whiskey and Wine. Yeah, man, by the way, of course, a week from today, Whiskey and Wine, episode number 1 of the season. Me and T-Bob, we will be live at Don Juan. I know it's a Sunday, but they're going to stay open for postgame because everybody's off Monday for Labor Day, excuse me. So y'all want to come out, we'll be there on Sunday. Carl the Cat, Handy's back. He's free. Notre Dame Insider had an axe to grind. I think a couple of things. Number one, like they legitimately don't know what it takes to win or understand the advantage LSU has in the state with the talent of the state. That's one. Two is, I think it is a little sour when a coach leaves you for another school, which has never happened there. So, or hadn't happened in 100 years, whatever it is. Edward O. Matt, you should try to get Driscoll on AFR. I have no interest. I explained this yesterday. I'll do it again. I look at AFR as almost like my home. When I invite a guest onto my show, I'm asking that person to give their time for free to come on to my show to share something with my audience. When a guest comes on, I feature them. I'm not bringing someone on the show to argue with them, to yell at them. That's not the purpose of an 8 to 10 minute interview. It should be bringing some value to the audience. And me yelling at a guy for 8 minutes isn't gonna achieve that end. So, and quite honestly, I hate that kind of radio anyway. I hate when people just yell at each other and talk over each other. That's not enjoyable. That's annoying. I punch out when I hear that. You've heard his points. You've heard my points. I'm going on with Crane and Company tomorrow. They want to have the conversation. Okay, I'll do that. If Jake Crane wanted to have me and Driscoll on his show at the same time, okay, I'll go do that. I don't care. But I'm not inviting a guest onto my show to yell at him. That's not the point. That's low-hanging fruit. That's lowest common denominator. And I just have no interest in doing it. Is Malik Neighbors healthy for Florida State? I think so, yeah. Brett, it's why Brian Kelly tweets the state of football whenever we land a big in-state recruit. I mean, that's our whole, that's on the slogan on everything, aside from graduate champions. It's the state of football. Daniel Blunt, good morning. Panama Jack, I love the fact we're playing you guys early in the season. We might not pull this game out, but I believe Brian Kelly gives a better chance than the talent gap on your roster. Who are you talking about? Panama Jack. Man. Sorry, y'all. Here we go. Jason Brumfield. Hunter Fournette, DraftKings, it'll occasionally gray them out. Okay. Cody Brunet, Driscoll must be the only person that wanted a head coach gone after an 11-2 season. Hey, bro. Cody, I'll remind you, there were a lot of LSU fans that were ready for Les Miles to be done when he had good seasons. You know, it's sometimes when you're at a place a long time, you just it's easier to I don't know. I mean, to talk to people who've been married for 30 years. You know what I mean? And then they like. You just hear like bicker over little things or so whatever, but you know, it's. I think that's just natural in any kind of relationship. The longer you're together, the more you notice flaws and stuff like that. So, that's a great. Mark Allen said everyone wants you to interview the ND guy on AFR. Hell with that. Let's get him on whiskey and wine. So like that's the. You want to do a live stream? Okay, like I'm down with that, but not AFR. That's not the point of that show. Daniel Blunt. Carter Harris, Saints are stacked with veterans and young talent. Very excited. Let's see. Wilson Silv. They probably didn't want to give LSU much tape. That's probably true, Wilson. I mean, I agree with that. I think they kept it really basic, and that was part of it. That game for Florida State was a dress rehearsal. It was a glorified dress rehearsal. To go work out some of the kinks, to go through a game day routine. I mean, I think all that's very true. Mr. Nussbus, what's the general consensus on Florida State? Could we even use Duquesne as a measuring stick? What? Not the result, but some of what they do and some of their strengths or weaknesses, yeah. John Maloss, I'm morning, Matt. How's Drew been? What's your record prediction for the Saints this year? So I got the Saints. Drew's good, thank you. I got the Saints at 10-7. I've got LSU at 8-4. But I do think the Saints make the playoff. But I'm getting more and more bullish on the Saints, man. Looking at the issues in Tampa, I think the Saints, provided they stay healthy, could even exceed that number. Everett, what's wrong with y'all requesting the jingle? People love it, bro. I mean, you're just a hater sitting there on your own little island. Why don't you enjoy it? Have some fun for once in your life, guy. Josh B. LSU by 21. Y'all, I'm telling y'all are crazy, bro. Y'all are so crazy. LSU 47-18. LSU by 21. Yeah, sure. The line's 3. LSU's in the final 3 for Edgerrin James' son in basketball. Jizzle James. No kidding. That's interesting. Late Apex. Yo. Jesse Brown. Matt Herbstreit picked Besh as his breakout player of the year. Interesting. Breeze 9012. What's the status of Gamecoin? We are inching closer to, I will tell you, like we have been for a couple of weeks in like punch list phase with the developer, where we're literally, our tech team is going through the platform, like literally just pushing every button, making sure it redirects where it's supposed to go, which you can imagine is tedious. So you do that, and then you send it back to them. So you do it again. So that's the phase they're in, but it looks awesome. Always some overconfident fans. If LSU loses, they'll start questioning Brian Kelly right away, even though many more, like Matt here, told you to temper expectations year one. It will take time. Trivia Carter said, good morning, E-Rock. Trivia, did you see? I sent you a video yesterday of Drew singing happy birthday to Brittany. So if you've not yet checked it, you have to go to Facebook to check the video. Robert Besh, good morning. Linebackers here an issue. Deion Jones wants a trade. It depends what they would want for him, but Deion Jones is a compliment to Demario Davis. I'll take that. Peter Fenner, Gen X sports guy, and their remaining boomer mentors will never forgive Brian Kelly for exposing Notre Dame as a paper tiger football program. All right, let's see. Trivia, say good morning.
Good morning, Trivia. Happy birthday to your wife.
Let's see. Ryan Pike, I feel LSU needs to run the ball outside of the tackles. Okay. Michael B. A lot of folks are still sour about Saban to Bama, for sure. And there's a massive difference too between them in that Saban didn't leave LSU for Bama. Saban left LSU for the Miami Dolphins, which I completely understood and respect. There were a lot of people, y'all forget this. There were a lot of LSU fans. So Saban's first year in Miami, 2005, the Dolphins played the Saints in Tiger Stadium. Of course, that was the Katrina year. So, well, Trivia, I didn't know how else to get it to you. I didn't see you. I went to text it to you on my text line, and I didn't see you on my text line. But just text me, and I'll reply with it. 225-396-4400. 225-396-4400. Just text me and say, hey, and I'll send it to you via text. But when Nick, so 2005, Saban with the Dolphins, they came into Tiger Stadium to play the Saints. And there were a lot of people who went to the LSU fans that went to that game and cheered for Nick Saban. Like, people loved Nick until he left the NFL and went to Alabama. But that's where like that story has gotten so confused over the years. Nebraska needs intensity, integrity, relentless recruiting. They need Ed Ogeron. Oh, Jesus. Trivia. I went on Instagram too. I didn't see you on Instagram. I searched Trivia Carter. Didn't see you. All right. Red Hodges. Bro, Red, I'm telling you, go look at, I know DeColdis is out. Go look at the box score. I mean, he had been out with an injury, but I'm telling you, he is in the box score with a punt return. Shoot. Nebraska kick returns. DeColdis Crawford, 1 for 20 yards. I mean, he's in the box score having returned a kick yesterday. Let's see. Rocky Jacques, good morning. Clark Tiger Davis, good morning. Dalton, looking for some new whiskey to try. Any recommendations for a good Canadian? No. Well, if you want Canadian whiskey and you can find it, Caribou Crossing. It's this bottle right here. It's light. It's 80 proof, maybe. 80 proof. I mean, that's Canadian whiskey. Just tends to be cut down and really, really kind of mild. So, Crown is Canadian. I mean, that's not really my jam. Paul Batts Miles was a baboon. Like, dude, people forget, man. Les was a fantastic recruiter. Talk to players, they'll tell you that in a living room, closing a recruit and his family, Les was incredible. Like, talk to people who actually went through that process. He was a phenomenal he was phenomenal identifying assistant coach talent. Remember, Les Miles brought in Ed Ogeron, Steve Ensminger, Dave Aranda. Before that, Kevin Steele for a year before he left for Auburn. He brought Corey Raymond, Frank Wilson. Bro, like, Les was great at assembling staffs. He was a great recruiter. Les's problem was he couldn't leave the offense alone. And that cost him his job. All the off-the-field stuff notwithstanding. Paul, I read Under the Tarnished Dome. It brought back some needed context why Notre Dame will never win a natty unless they relax their standards. For what he's referring to, like, people ask, well, how did they win under Lou Holtz? Well, when Lou Holtz left Notre Dame, he left them with sanctions. They got popped by the NCAA, and also in the 80s, they got popped for encouraging players to use steroids. I mean, it was, yeah, they were cheating. I'm not saying they were the only one, but it was a different standard. And unless they're willing to go back to that, they're not going to win again. And I'm not saying you have to cheat, but you have a legal way to do it now with NIL. And unless you're willing to do that, you're not going to be able to ever recruit a roster that can compete on the highest level. Paul tried to lure Saban back in 2005. That was his first year with the Dolphins. Anyway. Les Miles is a great coach. There's not on Saturdays. All right, I think we're done. Leonard Sarasota, hate to tell those Vandy players, yesterday is the most fun they'll have all year. Now, Leonard, I got news for you, Coach. They're winning next week. They play Elon next week. They're going to win that game big, too. Vanderbilt was actually competent. Like, you forget Vandy struggled with games like that last year. They actually looked like a competent football team, and Mike Wright is a good player at quarterback. Like, he is. I ain't sitting here telling you they're going to a bowl game or anything, but Vandy will, I'll say this, Vandy will win an SEC game this year. They will win an SEC game. Howard Jr., line of scrimmage will determine the most games. Okay, it's 10:52. I got to go, y'all. Oh, my God. I have to go. Gotta go. All right, y'all have an awesome day. I'm going to church. Y'all should go as well. Take some time for your family today. Shout out to Brock and Hutko, brortho.com, hutkoroofing.com. Have a great day. Much love to all of you. Have a wonderful Sunday. We'll see you. Smash the like button on the way out and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet on YouTube. Thank you. See y'all. Peace.